Woo! All right, sorry about all that. I'll have to cut a lot of that. Um, I don't think anybody's really going to see this for a while because nobody really. I had to call a friend to say, "Hey, I'm doing a live feed. You should get on." Actually, I was calling Dave Phillips, who just got his computer all up to date because we're dinosaurs, and he's actually going to be joining me, and you will see him via the magic of Skype coming in the near future. But yeah, so he's probably the only one watching this right now. Dave, I don't know if it's possible for you to actually say something in the chat, but why don't we try that out? I don't think anybody else is probably watching this right now, but sorry about that long delay in the beginning. But it's going to be well worth the wait. Probably not. So what I wanted to talk about today is just a couple little things. I don't know, maybe you guys have read the story or heard the story of the professor from PSU. It was two guys, and what they did is they put out some fake papers for some science journals, and these science journals, if you don't know the process, it takes like it can take 6 months to a year to get a paper published in some of these science journals, peer reviewed and whatnot, and all these different people examine it. And anyways, so these professors, one from Portland State University, hailing from my hometown, Oregon City, close enough, wrote a paper, and they were trying to expose. It was satire, but they were trying to expose how these peer-reviewed science journals, the credibility and the stringency to vet these things is not very good. And so they wrote a paper that said how dog parks contribute to rape culture. And they got it published in a scientific journal. And I wanted just to read this article to you. It's pretty funny, and it's pretty amazing actually that they got in trouble for that. So here we go. On this article, I'm going to read the article, not the whole thing, but a part of it at least. It says, a Portland State University professor who took part in an academic hoax to prove that academia turns a blind eye to reason when gender issues are involved is now facing disciplinary actions. So he, basically, I'll keep reading. My bad. PSU philosophy, it's philosophy, not philosophy. That sounds like something a dinosaur does. PSU philosophy professor Peter Boghossian is being investigated by his employer for committing a human subjects ethics violation by contributing to the hoax, which itself was an academic study. Filmmaker Mike Nana, that's a terrible last name, who previously documented Boghossian and his associates' attempts to call out so-called grievance studies for their lack of academic rigor, announced the professor was under fire Saturday night in a tweet. Portland State University has determined that at Peter B, I'm just going to go Peter B because his last name is causing me troubles, committed a human subjects ethics violations for his involvement in the grievance studies probe. Further charges of falsifying data are currently under review, Nana wrote. Oh, this is just so awesome. I just love this. The video began with Boghossian saying, I'm probably going to say that name different every time. We'll just call that a little game we're going to play. Saying he was called to meet with PSU's Institutional Review Board Chair, Jack Barbera, to discuss if protocols were followed prior to the professor's publishing of the fake articles. This occurred on October 18th, 2018. I think that they will do everything and anything in their power to get me out of there, Boghossian said in his video. I think that this is the first shot at that. I shouldn't be making fun of him. I thought that was going to be somebody else's voice. You don't pull somebody in front of the IRB to slap their wrist, Boghossian added. He also said one has to go through the IRB if they want to get a study published. So long story short, I'm not going to read all of this, but basically, they wrote a whole bunch of papers. It says up there they submitted like 20 papers to the journal over the course of the year. and they were all hoax papers. But the most famous one is that dog parks in Portland contribute to rape culture. Boghossian, Pluckbros, and Lindsay agreed to wait to see what happened at PSU before going to the media. According to the video, Boghossian was not allowed to film the meeting with Barbera. The title cards on the YouTube video then say the IRB has since determined the grievance studies probe meets the federal definition of research. They did everything as if this was a real paper, is the point of this. They submitted it to all the right people, made up a bunch of facts. The dog parks are contributing to rape culture. How many facts do you have to make up to get anybody to believe that? Well, apparently, well, maybe a lot, but apparently anything that has to do with these, rape culture or these SJW social ills of the world, they are just chomping at the bit. The left, whoever you want to call them, these crazy whack jobs are just chomping at the bit to latch onto it as another example of how horrible our culture is and how social justice is the answer. So I just find this so hilarious. And I think it's so ridiculous. I mean, they've had a lot of really, prominent people come out in support of them, like Sam Harris. Dave Collum, former chair of Cornell University Chemistry Department, also provided the Daily Wire with a letter he sent on behalf of Boghossian. Collum previously faced his own academic issues when he was accused of sexism for tweets after he disagreed with graduate students' plans to unionize. He's a sexist. I mean, this other guy who's like, this is such bullshit. He's like, you can read in the paper here, he gets accused of sexism because he disagrees with the left on unionization. He said, unsurprisingly in retrospect, Boghossian is, that's just totally not his name, and I apologize. Boghossian is now suffering the wrath of this group, Grievance Studies. Grievance Studies. Just the title of this group, Grievance Studies. I mean, and maybe I missed this. Is this a department in PSU or is this an actual class that people take? It's probably both. Just the name of it is ridiculous. They have suffered many defeats of late, and it is a community not known for shaking off defeats gracefully. I do not, however, think it is anybody's best interest to push disciplinary actions against Professor Boghossian. I've said that wrong every time. In fields that are said to be unable to self-police bad ideas, and that show an unfortunate intolerance for would-be constructive criticism. I cannot think of another means as effective as that of Boghossian's to illustrate the need for a complete investigation and, if necessary, academic overhaul. Well, yeah, I would say so. Our colleges today, with this social justice movement, to where we are finding offenses and we are finding the most ridiculous things to back up our point or to their point of view, that everything is about sexism, that everything is about inequality, that everything is about racism, that everything is about offense and outrage. It's ridiculous, but I find this papers that they wrote so hilarious. You guys should go watch these guys. They're interviewed by Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was pretty enlightening. It was fun. Okay, so on this little gem, this is a meteorologist from New York who just got shit canned because he was doing a little segment on the MLK Junior Park ice rink, and when he was saying it, he slipped up and he said Martin Luther, and he said the C word, coon, and he said Martin Luther King ice rink. It was pretty obvious that it was a mistake. The guy came out and said, guys, this is nothing I've ever said before. This is not who I am. That was just a complete slip of the tongue. Like, I wasn't even thinking that. It just came out that way. Apologized up one side and down the other. Still got shit canned. So we're going to listen to it, and you guys can kind of hear what it sounds like. Okay, here we go.
Brave, this is the way it looked out at Martin Luther King Jr. Park. Yeah.
I'm going to let that go one more time and turn this up. So I don't know if you guys caught that, but Here's the thing. It was an accident. The guy slipped up and said coon, you know, which is a very derogative, terrible slur, obviously, against black people. But if it's pretty apparent to if we're really using our brains and our common sense and our common decency as human beings, it's pretty evident the guy wasn't trying to be a racist scumbag and, you know, call black people the C word. Let's be realistic here, man. Can we have just as much grace, just a tiny bit of grace with people and understanding and some common decency? Because it's, like I said, it's completely apparent that was not intentional. So having said all that, I appreciate you guys sticking around. I'm going to edit this video down. Till next time, have a good day, have a good night, and we'll talk to you later. I got to go. Bye.